Hi everyone, this is Mandy from Gel Essentials. Today I'm going to be doing a very simple pink and white nail using acryl gel over tips. Now very often on videos I have already done the prep, but today I haven't done anything. So you can see right from the beginning the best way to prep the nail. So I'm just going to start by pushing back the cuticles, and when you do this, I don't know how close we're going to get, but as you can see when you start doing it, there's all this non-living tissue that all needs to come off the nail, because if it doesn't, you're applying product onto a surface that's just not going to hold the product. So if you're getting lifting or these unsightly white marks that you get underneath the nail, then that's often the reason why. It's really important that you remove all non-living tissue so that the nail is literally squeaky clean. There's no oils and no dead skin on there, otherwise you just will get the product lifting. So I've just changed tool to this one's got a slightly more robust blade on it. We're going to be doing a new cuticle set in the next couple of weeks, which will include all of these tools. They're all got different ends, and to be honest, I've used every one of them. So we start with that, just removing the dead skin. Then I'm going to take the 240 grit side of my metal nail file. Don't want to use any other grit any higher than a 240 at this point, because we're going quite close in at the cuticles, so I just want to make sure I've got rid of all of that non-living tissue. And I'm being very, very gentle. You don't need to put any pressure on, just literally we're removing all that nasty dead tissue. Then I'm going to flip the file over to the 180 grit side. With our metal nail files, because they are have replaceable grits, you can basically create the file that you want. If I'm using gel, I'll use a 240 180. If I'm doing acrylic, I'll use a 100 180. It really just depends. So I've etched the nail. You don't need to be aggressive. You're not actually digging into the nail, you just want to take off the surface shine, and that is all. Otherwise you'll cause damage to the natural nail plate. So then we're going to clean this off. So give it a brush first to remove as much dust as you possibly can, and then we're going to take some nail prep and cleanser and give the nail a good wipe. And I'm using a lint-free pad. And you should be able to hear it squeak. Then you know it's nice and clean and it's got no oils left on it. So for this set I'm using our universal tapered nail tips. And you can see got beautiful C curve which runs all the way down the nail, so even if you shorten the nail you've still got that lovely C curve, and they just taper in slightly to give a slender finish to a square nail. So first of all I'm going to size up the nail to make sure it fits nicely against my nail. Now I've got fan shaped nails which are an absolute pain because I tend to need a wider tip than the nail I'll actually take, if that makes any sense. To fit here it needs to be wide, but if you put too wide a tip, because it goes in there, it looks like the tip is too big. So I tend to try and go as small as I possibly can, but what that tends to result in is having to push out a little bit. So what I do is I just file this area here just at a little angle. Like that, so it fits more snugly on the nail. And I'll do that on both sides. So you can see now it fits a lot better. Obviously I will need to sort out that little lip, but we can file that afterwards. So I'm just using brush on nail glue and just apply a tiny amount just to the very edge of the tip. And place on the nail. Now what you can see with these tips is there's hardly any lip where you've placed the tip. They are super thin, so I very rarely blend this nail tip because it just doesn't need it. I will run a file over this section once it's been cut just to make sure that the product adheres to it, but you just don't need to blend it. So then we're going to cut the nail to size. And as you can see, it's still kept that lovely curve. And then I'm going to use my file, again metal nail file, just to straighten up that side wall on both sides. And then I'm just going to run my file over the entire nail just to give it a bit of a surface for the acryl gel to stick to. Doesn't need to be blended, just a quick run over with the nail file. Then just give a wipe over, just to remove any dust that you've created. And that's now ready for your product application. So first we're going to apply Bonder. And allow to air dry. So we're going to be using pastel pink and bright white acryl gels. And the first thing we need to do is apply a base gel. We apply a base gel with acryl gel, whereas we don't with our sculpting gels, for the simple reason that with sculpting gels you can dip your brush in the gel and create like a wetting layer, but you can't do that with acryl gel. So we use base gel instead, just to create a bond between the natural nail and the product. Otherwise the acryl gel tends to sit on the nail, and that can cause lifting. So you need your base gel first, just so you can work it into the nail and create a firm bond between your base gel and your acryl gel. So you just apply a very thin layer, work it well into the nail obviously avoiding your cuticle area and your side walls. Make sure it doesn't touch the sides or the cuticle area. And once you've done that, cure in a lamp for 90 seconds. So I'm going to be using my Acryl gel brush, which has got a spatula on one end and a brush on the other. So when you're working with Acryl gel, you need to use nail prep and cleanser to keep your brush from sticking to the product. So I just fill up a dappen dish with some nail prep and cleanser, and always have a lint-free wipe as well by the side of it, just to make sure you can clean your brush off. You'll notice, I've been asked this quite a few times, you'll notice there's a blue dot in the end of my dappen dish. The only reason that's there is to tell me that this is my nail prep and cleanser dappen dish, and it's not for any other liquid. So in case you're wondering, that's why that's there. So I've taken a fairly small bead and I'm just going to roll that onto the nail and immediately clean your spatula, otherwise it will set. Obviously it's a UV curing product, so you need to make sure that that's nice and clean before you put it away. So I'm going to dip my brush in the nail prep and cleanser, just take the majority of the liquid off. It doesn't have any value in terms of you don't need the product to mix with the Acryl gel or anything like that. It is just there to stop the brush from sticking to the nail. So first of all, I'm just going to make sure the cuticle area is nice and neat. The benefit of Acryl gel is that you have endless working time, so you can play with this product for as long as you want and it's not going to set. And then I'm just going to start to form my smile line. Don't be too worried about this because you can file. And what you'll see there is I'm just making sure I've got a nice lip, so that when I do come to file, I've got something for the file to hold on to. And then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to cure it in the lamp for 90 seconds. So once it's come out the lamp, I'm just going to remove the tacky layer. It will come out with a tacky layer on top, and I just remove that because otherwise it gets clogged in your file. And then use your metal nail file, if you need to, just to refine that smile line. So go right round the edges until you're completely happy with your smile line. And at this point I also like to just make sure that those sides are nice and square as well. It gives you a lot more clarity when you're putting the white on, and you can see where you need to be. So next I'm just going to apply the white Acryl gel, and I'm just using my spatula just to give it a little bit of guidance to where it's going to go. And then just take your brush and guide it to where you want it to go. Make sure you get all the way up into that corner. I can't actually see what I'm doing at this point because the camera's in the way, so I'm doing this one blind. and once you're happy, pop that in the lamp for 90 seconds. So once you're out the lamp, again give it a bit of a wipe with nail prep and cleanser just to remove that tacky layer, and then start your filing. This is going to take probably longer than normal. I have put quite a lot of product on this for some reason, probably because I'm used to doing much longer nails. And as always, I'm just going to finish off with our premium buffer. So start with the purple side, and then with the green side, and then give it a really good clean. And then finally add our super gloss top coat. Super gloss is a hard gel, so it's non-soak off, which is great because it resists solvents and therefore keeps its shine for a lot longer. And then cure in the lamp for 90 seconds. And there is the completed nail. And as you can see, it's retained its C-curve, so it's got a nice shape to give it strength. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe. And when you're subscribing, if you hit the notification bell, then you'll get notification when we upload the next video. Thanks for watching.